welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachel Ann
and Neal Young. We're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachel Ann and Neal Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the podcast. Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey!
Rach, who do you love?
HD Photo Hub.
Today's episode is brought to you by HD Photo Hub.
The platform real estate photographers trust.
And so do we, because Rach and I both use it on a daily basis. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Chickadee, check it before you wreck it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Shooting the Shit with Rachel and Neal. We're excited to have Katie Coleman with us today. She is a business owner, co-owner of her business, which is a team. We're excited to hear a little bit about her origin story and how she got this team going and what she's doing to evolve her business and stay on top and compete and all that. But yeah, without further ado, maybe Katie can just say hello real quick.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So I met Katie. Oh, so I met Katie last year at PMRE in 2022, and we had a brief discussion about how she started her business. And I think I told you on the spot, like, I want to have you on the podcast. I love your story. So
Yeah.
I'm glad a year later and like a month, we finally make it happen. So better late than never.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think I had ran into you and I think I had just started listening or found you on Instagram or something. And I was like, oh, she said she wants to have me on the podcast. And I was so excited. I'm like, yeah, I'm excited to be here. So
Awesome. So Katie, you're out in Reno, is that right?
yes, we're in Reno, Nevada, about 30 minutes from Lake Tahoe. So we do a lot of business up in Lake Tahoe as well. So I co-own, it's called In1 View Media. I co-own it with my husband, and kind of our backstory. My husband was a photographer for the existing business for 7 years as a photographer, obviously with the previous owners. I was a school counselor. Cut to, it was like April 2020. So we were all at home, scared out of our minds. And the previous owners gave my husband a contract to renew. And there was kind of like a non-compete in there. There was just some kind of things in there that didn't quite sit well. So we had always kind of discussed, like, what would this look like if he went out on his own? And then that got really scary because we were in the middle of COVID, like the very beginning stages of COVID, and then started thinking about, like, what would it look like to go out on his own? So we talked to a few attorneys, things like that. And then a few attorneys actually were like, why don't you just create an offer to buy the business from the existing owners? And we're like, oh, you just asked to buy businesses from other people? Like, so we kind of explored that through the summer. We got set up with a business advisor with a local university here that kind of helped us with like the process. Obviously, we offered it to the existing owners. It was a family run business. And so it was a husband and wife and then their son. And then they had my husband and another photographer. The existing owners were a little bit older, so they're kind of getting into retirement years. And they kind of realized, like, yeah, could be a good deal for us, whether we go out and do something new or we just go into our retirement years. So anyway, the process of buying the business took a whole year. So that started April of 2020 when it really, like, the beginning stages. And then we didn't close until April 5th, 2021.
Oh, wow.
So it was a process. We had an SBA loan at the time. That was a whole deal. We almost lost the deal a few times because of financing, but we were able to pull it through. And here we are almost 3 years later. And yeah, we're still cruising along. So that's kind of like the short story of it.
Yeah,
Cool.
great.
And now, so at the time you were doing something else, but then was that part of that switch you right then and there decided you were going to jump into, or?
Yes, so I am not a photographer, but we needed an admin. And
Hmm.
so once we closed on the business, I left the school district and jumped full time into the business. And I'm still 100% in the business. I do all of the scheduling, invoicing, some virtual staging, all of that admin type work. So I'm kind of very client facing in that respect. So yes, I left my previous school. So we are, or career. So we are 100% in. Also in 2021, we have a son who was 18 months when we started the process, and then I got pregnant. So we closed the business in April, and then I had our daughter in the end of July of
Wow.
2021.
Nothing like
Busy
piling
time.
it all on. Gee.
Yeah, that was like, hey, why not ever, like now's the time. So anyway, that was
Might as well get 2 dogs as well.
well, and then we added a puppy this summer.
Oh
So
my God. You're a brave soul.
yeah, we have a lot going on, but it works. It works for our life. I'm lucky now to stay home. Stay home in regards to like, I don't have to be somewhere all of the time. I can make my own schedule in that regard. It's been a good change and shift for me personally, as well as our family.
Yeah. So can you explain a little bit like the process of going from one owner to the next? What did that look like with your current clients that you guys had? Was that switch hard for some of your clients, or was there a big disrupt in like the services you offer or the processes that you offered? Like, how did you streamline that?
To us, the key was my husband and the other photographer, Brian. We kept him on. We could not have done this transition without him. The key was all of the clients knew either Andrew or Brian. And so
Okay.
the transition was very seamless. And we actually got some clients back that had stopped using us before for whatever reason. They came back because they like Andrew and Brian, whatever the case is. So, and I know we lost clients as well with the transition, but we didn't notice a huge dip. So obviously we kept track of all of the numbers, and we just kept beating the existing historical data in revenue and number of properties and things like that. And so we could not have done the transition without Brian. He still is a key member of our team, or our power team. It was fairly seamless. The previous owners did a good job of drafting a nice email, telling the key, our top clients, like, hey, this is coming down the pipe. This is what's going to happen. Everybody was very supportive because there was some familiarity with Andrew or Brian. So I was the new face, but I mean, I'm nice, I'm kind, I'm not like,
You're easy to
you
get
call
along
me,
with.
yeah, you get what you want kind of with me, like I'll make it work. So it wasn't a hard transition. It wasn't getting familiar with a whole new team. We did add in another photographer at the time, and that was kind of the hardest sell, if you will, for new clients, just as you guys, I'm sure, have experience with just new photographers and getting familiar. But it wasn't because of the transition, it was just because of a new photographer.
Mhm.
But the transition, we kept everything the same that first year. Pricing was the same, systems were the same, hosting platform was the same, everything was the same except for new owners, so everybody could get familiar with us, and we're not coming in to rock the boat. And then slowly over the years, we have made some changes. So we've changed the hosting platform, we've increased our prices, we've changed just some things, but we didn't come in like, this is the way we're doing it, blah, blah, blah. It was very much like, it's the same.
Yeah.
The money is just going to go to a different bank account. You
Mm.
talk to somebody else to get it scheduled. That's it.
Would you say that the hardest part of that whole thing was getting the funding, or what was the most difficult part? Or the
Yeah, probably.
legalities, or
Yeah, I mean, all of that stuff, because again, I was a school counselor, so I didn't go to business school or anything like that. My husband was a photographer, he didn't go to business school. The previous owners, the wife used to be a business broker, so she was very familiar in buying and selling businesses. So that was an interesting dynamic. Like, were asking to buy something, but we had people in our corner looking out for our best interest as well. So that was a key part in that. Like, we can't just blindly trust everybody. We had to have our own kind of, obviously, representation. We went about it in a smart way. There was some negotiation, which makes me like so nervous. But it all ended up working out. The other part was the financial, securing the SBA loan, just because with the government being involved with the SBA funding, it's very tight. And there were some things that didn't go through because of the way I phrased something. And so we lost the deal because of the way something was phrased with one bank. Obviously, it ended up working out, but it was a touchy time because of COVID and nobody really knew what was happening. Although, obviously, for real estate photography, ended up being a booming business. So it was just kind of a touchy thing with the securing the finances. But I would imagine that's the case with any big purchase like that. You have to be very careful. And the other thing, the reason why is because we are essentially buying a book of business. We weren't buying a farm that comes with $1 million of equipment, right? Like, we didn't get any of the equipment. My husband had his own. Everybody was independent contractors before. So we were just buying goodwill in a book of business. So banks you really have to kind of justify it. But with our business advisor with the local university, he really helped us with that as well. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Rachel, when you had a somewhat similar scenario, you bought a book of business at one point. Did you have to go through a similar process like SBA loan and stuff like that, or was it a totally different scenario?
No, we did a percentage. So for me, I just bought his client list and my pricing was different than his. My offerings were the same. I actually offered more than he did, but it was a percentage that I paid him every month. So every client that did a shoot with me, that was his previous, for 1 year, I paid him a percentage. He wanted just a lump sum. And I said, no, well, what if they don't come to me? Or like, what if I get way more? Like, that's not really fair. And in the end, I would have ended up paying less had I done that. So it worked out well. I did get and retain a lot of those clients. So, but I did lose some too, and they're not required to go with me. And the fact that my prices were higher than his, that was a factor, I think, for quite a few people. So,
yeah.
But it was in
Katie,
2020. So it was like, I mean, it went bonkers. So it's not really a good judge from 2019 to 2020. Is if I did the same volume that he did the year before, isn't really a good judge of like how we actually did, I feel like, because there was such a jump in listings. So it was probably more of like a loss. I would say it was I probably retained maybe 50% of those clients in the long run. So
is that I imagine that would be a scary, I imagine that would be a scary part too, Katie, right? You're buying these clients, but yeah, they could all just say, no, thanks.
Oh, absolutely. Like, that was the scariest thing, because if it didn't work, we had no income coming in. It would be different if I stayed with the school district and had that outside source of income, but we went full in. And that was a little bit part of one bank's kind of like hesitation. Like, I have no idea about this business. So again, without my husband having years experience within that specific business and company, it wouldn't have worked. And we've had a similar kind of situation, or somebody approach us, a competitor that's a few towns down. We go in that area. They offered for us to buy their book of business, but it was kind of a similar thing. Like, our prices are higher. We have no connection with those realtors. We were thinking kind of a lump sum situation, and we're like, I don't love that idea, because like you said, there's no guarantee, there's no contracts, there's no nothing that keeps these people with us. And so we were like, no. But had we thought of like a percentage, that would have been a good idea to kind of creatively think about it. But that was another thing about the bank, is they were like, you don't have any guarantee that these people are going to use you. But with the existing relationship that my husband and Brian had with the realtors, it obviously ended up working out. So
it looks like you've got 3 shooters. One is a videographer. Is that correct? Or
so we have 3 shooters: my husband, Brian, and Rach. Right now, they all do video. Andrew and Brian do most of the video. We're getting Rich kind of more up to speed on it so he can start doing more of it. And then we have an overseas video editor dedicated. And then obviously we have a photo editing company. But we have 3 shooters. We might be bringing on another one this coming spring with the way things are tentatively going and kind of feeling compared to last year. We did have 4 shooters, but we let one go the end of September just because it was so slow. It was just such a weird year last year. We didn't want to go into the slow season with that many shooters again, and not have them out of work to pay them, because all of everybody's salary. So
oh wow, interesting. I was going to ask you, are they employees or contracted workers?
yeah, they're employees. We do full health benefits. We also do upsell compensation, so they get a certain dollar amount for everything that they add on site. So
that's great. Wow. And health benefits? Shoot.
Yeah.
And maybe I need to up my game over here.
So they're full-time employees then?
Full-time employees, 12 months a year.
Wow.
Whether we are booming or busting.
Oh, yeah.
Are you able to keep them busy during the slow season, or do they do other tasks for you?
So yes, they'll do other tasks, and we let them know, like, we ask for your guys' availability. And I will say they work so much, and you guys know they work so much in the summertime that yes, we give them other tasks, but we also try and balance, like, they're working like, I don't know, 60 hours a week in the summer. So it's okay that they're not like working 40 hours a week during the winter time. Like, we try and find that balance of, like, it's not 40 hours every week, but it's also not going to be 60 hours year round either. Right. And if they can take and understand that, which they do, it kind of works out in the end for them.
That's great. So you don't pay overtime then when they work 60 hours in the summertime, because it's just kind of agreed upon that.
Yeah.
There'll be slow.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, they get obviously their upsell compensation, which increases with the more shoots that they do, but no, we don't pay overtime necessarily. It's just their salary year round, whether they're busy or not at all.
Interesting.
And so as far as some of this like hiring would go, I think one of our big questions is always, what do you guys have? Do you have any kind of protocols in place for hiring and training? Have you gone through it a lot, or has it just been a couple people since you purchased the business?
So it's just been a couple people. Our first hire it was a friend's partner that we brought on. I hope you can't hear, that's my daughter waking up from her nap. My husband will come and grab her. So our first hire was Fred's partner that we brought on, and she was great. Then she ended up moving back to her home state in Oregon. So we had to hire somebody in a pinch because she was going to give us through May of 2022. And we're like, crap, like like we're coming into the slow season or the busy season, so we need to get somebody replaced. So we quickly hired somebody, and that worked out. For the time being, it's interesting. Like, this was kind of one of the questions, was like, I don't know how to answer it, because I hear people say, like, hire quick, hire fast, fire faster. But in the situation that we were in, we were kind of in a pinch. And so we hired quickly, and then we took a long time to fire. Didn't quite work out. It just wasn't a good fit for the nature of our business, I think, because it's very isolating, as you guys know, and it doesn't always strive with people's personalities. They were trying their best, and we were trying our best. But in regards to hiring, we kind of hire as we need. And 2 of them have kind of fallen in our lap. So the first one, like I said, was a friend's girlfriend. The second one we sent out stuff on social media. We put an ad out there, got some people, interviewed some people, hired one. And then the third one, it was an existing photographer, not real estate, but landscape. He had reached out to us. And so that's kind of the extent of our hiring that we've done. We don't really have like a backlog of, some people I've heard have like a backlog of candidates that they're interested in, and they kind of like tap them in as they need, because we are employees or they are employees and they do full-time benefits. I feel like we have to be really careful, and that doesn't minimize if they're independent contractors, but the onboarding process is a lot with that. So we've changed some things where they don't get health benefits right away. There's some more protective factors put in place in case it doesn't work out. But to us, it just really comes down to clear communication about the reality of the job. It is not, you're not coming into an office with 4 or 5 people and have camaraderie and stuff like that. We do our best to have a culture for as isolating as it is for everybody. And we just try and be really clear with that and make sure that it really works for them. And if it isn't a good fit on their end, that's okay. But it has to be a good fit for us and our clients most of all as well. So it's something that we've done a minimal amount of, and I don't really have an answer of like what are like best practices.
Yeah.
It's kind of fallen in our laps, so for the most part.
Yeah, no, it is true that there, you don't know until you go into it that there really is, you're just all out on your own all the time. And there's really not,
Right.
unless you have like an office where I don't know, maybe they use your equipment, but everybody that I've worked with has their own equipment. So they don't even need to come in to say, do that, grab a camera or
Right.
anything. So there's really like, just on the phone or texting. So yeah, that can be a
Yeah.
weird environment.
Yeah, that's the extent of it. And we just try and be very clear. We have bi-weekly meetings at our studio with everybody. So that is one way to kind of, build some culture and camaraderie. We typically like rent a boat for one day in the summertime and take everybody out on that. And then obviously we do like a Christmas dinner. So we try and do things fun throughout the year all together, but the bulk of it is they're out on their own. So I think our team that we have right now really understands that. And it's not necessarily understanding, it's driving with their personality. They're okay with that and maybe even thrive in it. And that is a good fit. But it's kind of hard to find that good fit in the nature of the business.
Yeah, because you got to like to be solo, but you also have to be a good people person. So
Right. Yeah. It's definitely that balance of I'm good client facing and I can, do the small talk and stuff with the agent, but I'm also okay being by myself. Yeah, like you said.
Yeah, it's like 50-50 introvert, extrovert, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you said you do the admin work, and do you do like business development? I've seen you on social media. You have a great presence on social, and you have your own Instagram account where you're doing some social media coaching, it looks like. Can you tell us a little bit about your role in the company and what you do?
90% of what I do, 99% of the orders for photography come to me directly, whether it's email, text, phone call, pigeon carrier for this point. I mean, anybody can get a hold of me at any point, which is starting to kind of grind on me a little bit. We do have online ordering, but I'm kind of a weenie and I don't push people towards that. So that might change this year. We'll see. But 90% is being client facing and taking orders with the agents, invoicing, scheduling. I do all of our virtual staging, which isn't a lot, but I do all of our virtual staging jobs. And then we were doing some social media classes this last year. Any like in brokerage in-house presentation I go to, I'm kind of the face of the company because everybody for the most part comes through me. And then they get obviously different photographers for each job. But I would like to explore more of a VA position this year. That was one of the things that I was talking to my husband about. Like, it'd be great if I didn't have to do all of the, emails or scheduling or something. I don't know exactly how that might look, but right now it all comes through me as my role.
So what do you do when you go on vacation?
We tap in Brian, our kind of right-hand man. So we lighten his load and he does the emails and scheduling and things like that. So it's all very team effort in-house. However, everybody has my cell phone. So it's, we're on vacation and I'm getting texts and phone calls and I still have to communicate with Brian to call this person.
Right.
So we really haven't had like a true vacation. We take this week off of work, the week between Christmas and New Year's because it's just slow. And that's kind of the vacation that we've had. Even with that, like I'm still checking emails, I'm still getting texts and phone calls and things like that. So that's something that we kind of didn't realize. And it's one of those things where you're like, I'll do whatever it takes to do this, like we're going to make it work. And then you kind of get into it and it kind of wears on you a little bit. And you're like, but it doesn't have to be this way. We can find other avenues. There's other things that we can do. So that might be something that we're thinking about this year on how that might look a little different. So we can take just a true solo vacation.
Rach, I'm sorry, I got to interject. Okay, I got to give everybody a little tip little trick that's been working really well with me with the marketing kit from HD Photo Hub. I use it as a little treat with any new client to kind of just put it right over the top. Like this is a little like customer service finesse. I get a new client, they do the shoot and everything with us, and then when I go to send the completed order to them, I have it set up as a template email already, and it says, hey, thanks so much for using our services. As a little bonus, I also am including the marketing kit, just so you know in the future. It's normally $50 to add this, but I just want to say thank you so much. And I want to let you know that this includes a dedicated website to your property, printable flyers, social media templates, a video slideshow, and it's going to have your face all over it, and it's going to be great for you, and you can use it on your next booking appointment to win more listings, so that we hopefully are working with you again soon. And so I throw that right in there, and it's just like the piece de resistance, and they're like, what? Who are these people? They're fantastic, and we just got this cool thing. And guess what? They're hooked on it next time. Next time they buy the marketing kit, and I get a free little bump, little extra money with no extra work. So I love
that's freaking genius. I think I might start doing that because I don't do that currently. That's a great incentive. I've had a lot of clients call and they're like, oh, do you do like a new client discount? And I used to, but now I don't. Yeah, I think that would be a really good thing to do instead of saying, oh yeah, we give you a discount. No, you get a free property website and marketing kit with your first
give you
order.
a bump.
Yeah.
You make more money. Yeah, and it just costs a little bit to add that on there. So it's just like, nice finesse.
So if you want to try out the property website and marketing kit for yourself, you can put in promo code STS, as in shooting the shit, over on HD Photo Hub, and they will give you 50 free credits, which equates to about 3 property websites and marketing kits that you can test out and send to your clients and see their reaction for yourself. Okay, let's go back to the podcast.
How does your online booking work right now?
Is
it a homegrown thing, or is it like a service, or?
No, we use a competitor to what you guys use.
She uses
That's
no,
okay.
you're
That's
fine.
okay.
You're fine. Hey,
Okay.
it's a good system. It works. There's HD Photo Hub and Ario are the best 2 ones you can use.
Yeah.
So, yes,
so we use Ario because of the kind of client experience has been contact Katie and contact the previous owner for all of these years, because existing owners started this in 2005.
Okay.
Some of these clients are just so ingrained, and so it's hard to get them to do. And I'll get a lot of phone calls of like, I know you guys have online booking, but sometimes it's just easier to call you. Or I get caught up in this thing, I don't know what to do. And it's like, okay, and then I'm the pushover that I'm like, okay, it's fine, like I'm here for you, that's my job.
Yeah.
But really, I'm like, just go online and
figure it out. You can
I
do
know.
it.
Yeah.
I still have a couple of clients that it's just not worth me beating my head against the wall anymore. I'm just like, what? When?
Right.
Okay, yeah. Here, how about this time? Good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I go put it in the system myself. But yeah, it is hard with some people, and it just sometimes you can't teach. I won't say the saying because it's against rude. But it goes true for me too.
I had an instance where I actually, like, a client texted me and I forgot to put the order in, and she was like, I'm here, no one's here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I wanted you to put it in online, because we were like so busy, and I'd never forgotten an order. Like, I've been so good. It was crazy busy time. And I just completely spaced, and I felt so bad. And I was, from that day on, I was like, okay, online ordering, they have to put the order in online. And I'll explain it that way and say, hey, it's to ensure that it actually gets put in. Like, I am responsible, but I have missed a shoot before, and I don't want that to happen to you. So if you wouldn't mind putting it in online, if you have questions, feel free to call, but just to ensure that all the details are in there, there's no disconnect between communications, it's helped me to it pushed me over the edge to okay, because I was doing the same thing. I was using HD Photo Hub online ordering, but they'd put the order in, and then I would have to assign the photographer and the date and time for the shoot. And I just felt like if they had the control of that, my shooters are going to be going all over town, and I'm not going to be able to maximize the amount of shoots they can do in one day because they're going to be driving all over the place. When in reality, the system automatically prompts them to pick the shooter with the closest geographic location to that shoot. It's smart. Yeah. And it hasn't changed much, really. But yeah, I finally,
that's where we're at right now, where we have the online ordering, but I still have to go in and approve the time and day and the photographer. because and maybe this is just an excuse, but because we service such a wide area, like I could have a photographer an hour and a half outside of Reno. My concern is that they're going to ask for something in Tahoe, which would be like possibly 3 hours to that. I should let the system like do its job. And I think we're a little bit more controlling than what we need to be between my husband and I. Like, no, nobody can ever do, but it's technology. Like I feel like it should be up to, like you said, like let it do its job, and it's smart enough to know.
Yeah, that is a hard piece to let go of, though. I feel you, because you're like, you just want to make sure everything goes smooth and perfect and it's easy and people aren't driving everywhere. So yeah, I totally get it. Totally get it.
Yeah.
So one of our questions for you was, who are you hiring next? And it sounds like you're going to get a virtual assistant. Possibly.
I know. Yes, I would love a virtual assistant. Even for my guys to not do the morning edits and uploads to the agents. Right now, they do their uploads at night, and then they do their kind of final pass through and approval in the morning, and then send it out to the agents.
Oh, okay.
So even if it didn't benefit me, taking that off of their plate, I feel like could be good. But again, it's that sense of control, right? Like, who are we going to find that has the same eye and is going to catch the same things as I do?
Doing it that way, having the photographer go through, there is a benefit to doing it yourself when you shoot the property, because you see all the little things that need photoshopped out, right? Like you see that little piece of blue tape on the wall where like my virtual assistant misses them all the time. And I'm like, dude, how big is your screen?
It's right there.
I need a 27-inch screen. I need you to do 5,000% on every photo.
Yeah.
Like, please zoom in. Yeah. So I'm sure there is a benefit to them uploading and cleaning their own images, but it can be taught. It just takes time, and I'm still working on my guy. Like he'll go through phases where he's really good and then he falls off and I'm like, hey, I got to remind him and I have to check in. But it's nice to be able to go on vacation and not worry about the business. There's an aspect to it that it's worth it just for your own.
Not doing myself the early, these images need to be revised. Here are all the notes that need to be fixed. Not doing that is amazing, but yes, I still kind of check in every now and again, and all of a sudden I'm like, why are we kind of going crazy with this? Let's bring it back a little bit. What I mean? So it is, you can't totally, I don't feel like you can totally let go of it, but you get a lot of it taken away.
And that's why and again, I'm not a photographer, so I don't know, but everybody takes pride in their own photos. And so I don't want to step on that and say like, this is what we should do. And like, I really like the way you say it, Rachel, where you are the photographer and then you have a team to edit, because that's kind of been one of our things to disclose to our agents. Like we have overseas editors, and that's kind of been like a little bit of a point of contention of, well, do you edit your own photos or do you not? And it's like, but the way you said it, I was listening to a podcast one time where you were like, I have a team because that's what they are really good at. And I can focus on what I'm really good at. And I think that you can paint that picture even broader with a VA. Like I might think I'm really good at something, but a VA might be even better and can do it quicker. So just let them do it. It's letting go of that control. And like I said, even if it isn't for the photo that edits in the morning, I would imagine we would be able to find some tasks like just social media creation, just those things that it's not my favorite thing to do, just posting houses and different things. And I would imagine there's other people out there that are more creative and have different ideas. So that's kind of what I would like to explore a little bit more. Like I said, we might be bringing on our first hire as an independent contractor this year, depending on how things go with the busyness. She kind of expressed some interest, and we might have a need to fill with us being a photographer down. So that possibly could be our next hire. That would be our first time having an independent contractor role. So that could be interesting. But I think that's kind of what we're looking at in regards to our next hire.
Yeah, I think that would give you a lot of flexibility too with the slow season, because like I just let my shooters know, like, hey, it's slow in the winter and you need to save. Like we're going to be rocking in the spring and summer, but fall's decent too, but winter is slow. And this winter has been historically low for us. I'm like, okay, what can I do to pick up some extra money this month? Because
I know.
It's been so slow. But I know it's coming back, but it's nice to prep your people and let them know. And with those contractors, you're not you don't have to pay them, when it's slow.
Right.
So
Yeah,
that'll be nice
exactly.
for you guys.
So
That's awesome.
Katie, you said, I think if I heard you right, you said since you did purchase the business, you've been hitting all your marks yearly, I'm assuming, and going beyond those. So what do you think have been some of those factors? Is any of that advertising, or what's helped you be successful and grow?
We have gotten comments from some agents how we have improved the business, and it's been different components. So I think switching from the existing business with a very old hosting platform, and we switched to REO. So again, there was some, you can't teach certain people new things. But then once that learning curve was over, people were like, oh, this is so much better. Like, this is really great. So that helped. It's tricky because I think there's a level of drive that my team has now to create the best product but really listen to the clients. And I don't know, I wasn't involved in the business previously. I just heard when my husband would talk about it, when Brian would talk about it. I wasn't intimately involved in it, so I can't speak to that. But they are always striving to create the next best product, whether it's photos or video or whatever the case is. My goal is to create the best customer experience for our agents. And I don't feel, while we are control freaks, as we're kind of coming across or sounding like, I think we're open to, our goal always is to provide the best experience for our clients. And I think that's the driving force. And our clients really appreciate that. We'll have sit down consultations, and we want to do more of these on bigger projects where we're shooting all day. We've done some 2-day shoots for houses, for large luxury homes, instead of just kind of turn and burn and go in there and just, this is the way it is, this is what we do, that's it. More of a team member, more consultation and getting on the same page for larger projects. Now, that's not the case for everything. Just kind of overall improvements. We have a far more robust social media presence compared to before. And that could be with the time, but I don't know if the existing owners would have done something to what we're doing now. And not that we're the best by any means, but just changes, keeping up with the times, going to PMRE, going to conferences. My husband and I went to a Social Media World conference last year. We've gone to different conferences just to kind of improve upon. I think overall it's just kind of general improvements, but it depends on who you ask as to what that improvement actually looks like.
Anything that you do in particular do you do any kind of extracurricular kind of things for customer service besides answering the phone and being good at those things? Do you guys do any kind of outreach? Do you do anything above and beyond, like monthly emails or any of that kind of stuff?
Well, actually, when I met Rachel at PMRE last year, she was like, I do a monthly email and it's just fairly simple. It's just kind of like any housekeeping stuff for the business and like what's to come. So I did that last year, and I think that kind of helped. I would put in like a social media tip, whether it was something I created or a video that we had posted on social media, and I just embedded it in the email. Housekeeping stuff, obviously. And that just kind of having like that touch point helped. I don't know how extracurricular, but that was some little, like a quick once a month additional email that I did. I feel like that helped. We always try and over deliver what we say. So we do our pricing based off of how many photos we deliver. And there's a lot of times where our photo packages are like 15, 20, 25 and up by fives. They never deliver just 15. They never deliver just 20. It's always like 22, 23. Sometimes they'll deliver 25, but only charge for 20. So just those little things that we can do to build up the value. That whole customer service of being on time, professional, that's really kind of what we pride ourselves on, and being available. So as much as I want to get a VA for certain things, a lot of the times the comments I get are, it's so nice just to know that when I call you, you're going to answer my question, whether it's I need a year-end statement, like somebody emailed me about, or I need this photo fixed, and then it's done in a timely manner. So that's my job. I'm not out in the field shooting, so I have the capacity to do that. And I think that kind of is maybe what sets us apart a little bit compared to our competitors in the area.
Yeah, I think that the fact that you're available, that's huge. And that's what I've always gotten compliments on with my business too. They're like, you always answer your emails right away. I'm like, yeah, because I check my email every 30 minutes.
Right.
I'm obsessive over it.
I know.
And when the phone rings, I answer it no matter what,
Yeah.
like, yeah. And
Yeah.
the text messages. So yeah, it's important though. I mean, it's really a fast paced business. Real estate is, and they're used to everything being at their fingertips, and I need it right now. And so if we're not providing that for them, it lacks in the service department. So I think you're on point there for sure. That's huge. People love that. So I think there's tasks that the VA could do for you that aren't so client facing that would like free you up in ways that, might work. And then also I just got Open Phone. So it's a phone platform you can transfer. Yeah. So I now have an assistant who's going to be full-time by April. I'm very excited. She hasn't really, she's kind of started, but I kind of told her like, we got to put it on pause for December because there's no money to pay you. Yes. Slower. So anyways, but she is like started already taking the phones and started answering some of my emails for me. And it's like this weird, I really don't like it. I'm not going to lie. Cause like the way she responds to emails, she's professional and she's good, but it's not me. And I always put that personal touch on emails, and I know everybody. So it's like, I want to ask about their personal life or like add something in, and that's just going to take time for her to get to know my clients, but it's definitely nice when I went to PMRE and she just handled the phones and handled the emails, and I only had to like uploads were done. I just had to check in a couple times and make sure everything was good. But it's like, that's hard. It's really hard to give that up for sure. But there's a lot, like you were saying, the social media posts, that should be a VA. That's easy. Yeah. And with ChatGPT now you can be like, give me 10 ideas for social media posts about drone. And it's like, ding, 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 write me a script for this. Like my VA sent me a script yesterday for my year-end video. He's like, I really like writing scripts. And I'm like, you are not writing this. This is clearly ChatGPT, but thank you. I still used it. I made the video today. So he's like, anything I can do to take it off your plate. And I'm like, this is fantastic,
Oh, yeah. I want somebody like that in my, like, what can I do for you? Like, how can I help?
Yeah. They're out there. They're out there. I can ask Jan if he has any friends. Try to hook you up with someone. Yeah, I know he had one guy that we sent over to Upmarket. I never checked back to see how that's working, but
Upmarket. No, we love Upmarket.
I know, me too. Their podcast is amazing. I always give them a shout out, and they're always so grateful. They're like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Well, I know we're like competitors, but like, are we really competing at anything? I mean, come on." We just all have listeners. Like, they love us all. It's fine.
Yeah.
I see. Like, you look like you're really into social media. Like from your page, this content that I've seen coming out is like, it looks really good. It's very informative. Do you have any plans to expand more on social media coaching for brokers, or like kind of move into a different sector at all with that?
So we have one client that's on a monthly retainer that we do all of his social media content creation and post on his behalf. Okay. And then we have at our studio, we have a few other clients that come in and do videos, and then they do like, we create it, deliver it, and they post it on their behalf as well. I would like to get more into the content creation. We did kind of dabble into some social media coaching last year, and it's challenging because everybody has very strong opinions about social media. I like teaching, coming from school counseling. Like I did a lot of classes with kids, but I like kind of that presentation mode and not necessarily like broker presentations like, here's our business and here's why you should use it, because that feels very salesy to me, and I don't love that. It makes me feel uncomfortable. But if I can teach somebody about something, then I like that, and that's fun for me. So I would like to get into that. The coaching part, like one-on-one, we did a little bit of that last year, and I think because social media is such a big beast, and there's different ways to do things and have success in different ways, and I want to deliver results, I don't feel comfortable coaching because the way that I think it maybe should be done, or an approach might not work for that person. That's where I get I want to do a good job at what I do. And so if I can't deliver or guarantee results, then I don't necessarily want to go down that path, because I don't want there to be any, you didn't do this, or
resentment, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's a little like imposter syndrome coming in, but I think educating people on social media and then you guys do what you want with it
Right.
is fine and fun. But like the actual coaching part, I'm happy to be like a sounding board. We'll have consultations and things like that for agents, but one-on-one coaching or anything like that, I don't know if that's something we would want to kind of venture into.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Well,
difficult too showing the progress on social media. Like, was that a success or not? Especially for somebody who may not have much going for them yet. It takes a long time before you even see any traction, and it's a hard thing to
Yeah.
just not feel like they spent a lot of money on what? You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And a
Yeah.
lot of the times they're like, I hate social media. So
Mhm.
right then and there, it's like, well, then what are we doing?
why are you
Yeah,
hiring me to do this
This
for you?
probably isn't
Yeah.
gonna go so well.
Yeah. Like I don't like it, but I know I have to do it. And it's like,
Right.
okay, well, that's not necessarily a mindset that I want to like coach or, help along. And again, not that I know everything. I know that there's a lot to be learned and it's always changing. And then that's another thing as well. So with everything else that I have, it's hard to keep up with the new trends and the
Oh
new
yeah.
algorithm and the, everything. So
Right.
if I were to do that, I feel like I would have to be 85% out of the business of like my capacity now and focus
Mhm.
solely on social media. And I don't know if that's kind of my jam right now.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great lead magnet. Like the way you're using it
Oh, totally.
is just like an add value, something that you bring to the table. And I think brokers love it, as long as you can make it clear that you guys do real estate photography, right? And then,
Right.
but we can help you with your social media presence. And if
Yeah, we can
since
do
you're,
content creation. We can
yeah,
help with script writing, but we're not going to write the scripts for you.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of one of those services that we do, but we're not going to solely necessarily take it on. My husband and I had kind of a conversation last year. Our focus was getting monthly retainer social media clients, and this year we're kind of focusing a little bit. It's just a lot. We had 2 or 3 this year, and the clients really have to be bought into it, but it felt very much like hand holding and like, what do you want to talk about? Here are my ideas. And then the ideas got shut down and it's like, okay, what are we doing here? So
Mm,
it's a struggle. Social media
Yeah.
it's just a big beast.
it really
We had a
is.
struggle. We had a lot of struggle with that too. So a lot of the agents are just like, "Do it. I want you to just do it." And it's like,
Yeah.
well, you have to be a part of it too. It's not.
Right.
And then the other side, and then you do as much as you can, and then they're like, "Oh, I don't like that," and it's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Yeah. Yeah. It felt like a no-win kind of situation. So
It's tricky for sure.
Yeah.
Well, what about people trying to grow a team? Maybe they're just a one-off. Maybe they're going to go buy a team. But what
yeah.
what do you think is the best advice that you could give from your experience to date for somebody looking to start or grow a team or whatever? Where would they start? What's your best advice for them?
So I think, like we've talked about, as much as isolating as a job is, you are still a team. So you want to make another person or another 2 people feel like part of your team.
Mm-hmm.
And in this dynamic, it has to come down to communication and realistic expectations, and then meeting those. You say you're going to do something and then you do it. We've done a few different things where we've done like weekly lunches and things like that with our employees just to kind of have those touch points, but then we switched to the meetings. But as isolating as it is, if you want to have a solid team, there has to be consistency among everybody, because I don't know about you guys, but it drives me nuts when we get requests, and it happens, but when we get requests and they're like, I only want to use this person, but it has to be on Tuesday and that person is not available on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And then I offer other people and it's like, well, why do you not want to, like, what is wrong with that other person? And they say something like, well, it's just not the same as Andrew or Brian or whatever. So trying to create as much consistency among the team as possible. So that comes down to consistency in obviously deliverables, which can be tricky because this is a very creative industry and everybody has their look or their way of doing something. But if you're creating a team, you have to have consistency, because if you want to be a cohesive kind of team, it needs to kind of look the same. And that's our philosophy. So we're always trying to improve our product, but when somebody does something that we like, everybody then has to kind of implement it. And obviously the technical side is what my husband is kind of in charge of like, this is how we're going to shoot and things like that. But consistency is number one, because it drives me crazy when we get into scheduling situations where I only want to use this person because I like the way it looks, but it all needs to be the same. So consistency, I think communication is important with your team members, and creating a culture, which that's an ongoing thing. We still struggle with that. Like, oh, I haven't seen you, like that's why we have our bi-weekly meetings. But outside of that, sometimes we don't see each other, like outside or just outside of the studio. Mm-hmm. And I guess that's to kind of be expected with any workplace. I would say consistency, communication with your team, and then creating a culture as best you can with the dynamic of the job.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. That's great advice. Good. The consistency is a forever challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Hard. It's hard for all the reasons you listed. It's a creative thing. I mean, you can say, take a photo from every corner of the room, but there's always going to be like the framing will be a little different, like there's just so many, the camera level is always a little different between us. And there's just all these little things. So well, it's been great having you on. Thank you for just giving us all this info about your team. It's interesting to hear the different ways that different teams run their stuff. Like, you have employees, that's amazing, and benefits and salary. I'm like, what?
A whole new world.
Might be something I should think about for next year.
Exciting and new.
Right.
Well, and to be this, I mean, the health benefits was a selfish thing, because I had the health benefits with the school district and my husband didn't. He was on my plan. Mm-hmm. And then when I left, we have these 2 kids, 1.5 kids at the time. And we're like, well, what are we going to do? So, we talked with a health person, and they were like, you have to have your family plus 2 others in order to make a group plan. And so that's kind of what we do. So it's there was selfish motivation there, but
it's cheaper for you if you have more people on. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. And there's minimum requirements for, at least in Nevada. I don't know what, other states, but, there's different ways that it can be done. We pay the health insurance, but they pay their dental and vision, which is minimal. But yes, there's different ways, but it's a nice kind of benefit, and it helps them. I feel like there's buy-in on our side where we can't just let them go. I mean, yes, we can, but it's harder, and it just feels kind of more like, to me, it comes across more as a team versus, your independent contractor. But I get it. Like, it's hard. Like, December sucks. December totally sucks, and January is going to suck too. So
you're like, don't buy any Christmas gifts this year, honey.
Sorry, kids.
Sorry, kiddos. It's December again.
Here we are.
Yeah. Well, good for you. It sounds like you have a good thing going. I love your commitment to customer service. You're doing a really good job. So keep it up. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Excited to see where you go. Where can people find you on social media if they want to check you out?
So we are at In One View Media, and that's something we're thinking about maybe changing. We've been thinking about changing for 2 years now, but right now it's IN, the #1 View Media. So that's our business, and you can find our fun stuff there. I want to kind of implement a story strategy this year, maybe with our photographers. So to get the actual photographers in our stories, see how that can look, just so they get used to it. So everybody is present on there.
Yeah.
But we'll see how that goes. But.
Yeah. I know, I do that with my team. I'm like, send me a picture of you shooting today. And some won't. I'm like, at least tag me if you're going to put it on your own story. Come on. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Katie, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Katie.
Thank you, guys. Have a great one. It was great to meet you, Neal.
Nice meeting you as well. Hopefully I'll see you at the next PMRE.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I love it. All right.
Cool. All right. Bye, guys.